100% with what John just said. But
I concur with John as well and Dana that this is a benefit to the town because it's going to be redeveloped and it's going to be a nice feature for everybody to enjoy with their development. And again, the land is not useless to the town, or it's useless to the town, and there's going to be plenty of benefit with the redevelopment. Those are my comments.
And to clarify, if I may, the next step. So were we to go through this and approve this resolution tonight, the next step would then we'd bring back another resolution for you all to actually make the transfer. And then after that, we have to do a public offer period where we offer the land to prospective developers and accept their proposals for it, including the rendezvous folks. That is state statute for land conveyance. So that step would still exist. We could hear somebody else's great idea. However, somebody else wouldn't have the benefit of the existing building that these developers currently own. But just so you know, we have a number of steps still to work through before there's actually a land disposal agreement.
Rachel, Oliver, Kyle, any comments on this one?
I agree with already been said in terms of this side benefit.
Agree.
Anything?
I think just from the proposal, it's looks good. Looks good to me. I think it's too small to require workforce housing. Be a part of it. And I don't think that giving up this smaller amount of parking would be that big of a deal. Have something new and fancy looking on Lake Island Drive. Yeah, I think it would be a fair trade.
I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve consideration of the DURA resolution 324 series 24.
Is there
second the motion.
any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Woods,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Hendricks,
Yes.
Christensen,
Yes.
Tyne,
Yes.
Luck,
Yes.
Chairman Scavera.
Yes. Next item is considering entering into a public-private partnership with JGJP Dillon LLC for a mixed-use workforce housing PUD project.
So this is just a discussion item, kind of an introduction to a concept plan that we have received from JGJP Dillon LLC. This project proposes 143 workforce housing units located in the vicinity of the Pug Ryan's building and the Payne building. So that's building on the corner of Lake Dillon Drive and Village Place. And then the Payne building is on essentially the corner of Lake Dillon Drive and East Labonte. Actually on the corner is a small parking lot of some existing 35 parking spaces. Also proposed with the project is a 445 parking space public parking structure and over 21,000 square feet of retail and commercial space. The concept currently is that the commercial space fronting Lake Dillon Drive would include a grocery store and a bank. The bank isn't set. The grocery store is much more, there's a higher level of confidence with that concept with an interested party or two. But the bank could be some other sort of commercial space. The parking structure is wrapped on East Labonte with townhome units to kind of cover up the parking structure. And then on top of the parking structure is where those, the remainder of those 143 workforce housing units are. Again, the concept here, some of the land has already, in the vicinity has already been transferred to DURA from the town back in 2017, when many of the parking lots were platted. And we went through that public hearing process. With the idea that eventually perhaps the greatest way to get redevelopment and vibrancy in the core area would be to enter into a public-private partnership with a developer and offer land as part of the deal to help it happen, whether there's still a transfer of funds for it or how it's done is to be determined through the public-private partnership or a P3. It's staff's feeling that perhaps this proposal checks a lot of the boxes that we've heard that people are interested in when we're talking about core area or town center redevelopment. And that is bringing a large public parking structure that has shared uses, residences, shops, but then there's still a surplus for the public benefit to support events and other activities and other potential redevelopment in the core area. The workforce housing being strongly sought after. And then that kind of Main Street, if you will, Lake Dillon Drive facing commercial product with the wide pedestrian boulevard in front of it. So based on that, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. There are some plans attached. They are concepts. This isn't a formal submittal. But what JGJP Dillon LLC is asking, because some of the land has been conveyed by the town to DURA. There are other little slivers of land that are still in the town's possession, some of which would be small pieces of right of way, other little segments of grassland and things that were not previously platted. So the request that the developer has is DURA interested in joining in a P3 and partnering in a project and essentially being a co-applicant in a land use application to see if the community has good feelings about a project like this without going through that whole land transfer process. So that's kind of the concept here.
Feedback, anyone?
How realistic is a two-story grocery store?
They have them in Europe.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say, or like IKEA.
IKEA, yeah.
Yeah, and so he's already has a concept with the escalator or whatever you would call it.
Thing for the carts, it's.
The city grocery store.
Yeah.
I think this is great. And I'm happy to kick this one off because I was tickled to see this. When you give a developer a green light and you don't put any conditions on it, the people spoke up in this case and said, that's not acceptable for us. We want more from him. And all they had to do was push back a little bit. And this is what he's offering up, which is 140 units of workforce housing. So
She was doing.
So I encourage us not to shy away from asking for what we want for our town, because when you push a little bit, like the public did in this case, you get what you want. So I encourage us to use this as an example. I mean, this is primo. This is a ton of housing. This is the Payne building gone. This is a grocery store in town. It's everything we've ever asked for. And the people had to put together the petition to make this
No.
happen.
I disagree with you. That's not, he was working on this way.
This was in
before that.
progress.
You,
months
you
before
wouldn't
the
bring
petition.
that up.
He may have,
That
he may
petition
have
has
been,
nothing to do with this.
maybe
okay?
not, but it
No,
came
he-
right after it.
No, he
It
was
came
working-
right on its heels.
No, he was working on it way before that. He
Perhaps.
was. He even said it in the meeting. So I'm
I'm-
gonna disagree with you on that one, okay?
I'm,
So you
you
could justify the petition. I don't agree, okay? So let's just not talk about
don't,
that.
it doesn't have to
Let's
be
talk
between
about
you and
this.
me.
Well,
This
let's
is how
talk
I
about
read
this.
it.
And I think this is great. I agree. I'm glad you're very happy with this. That makes me very happy because I wasn't sure what you were gonna say.
You don't need to be sure about what I'm going to say. I said what I'm going to say, which is it's great. And I think we should be encouraged to ask for what we want because I think he was willing to give it to us.
He was doing,
Great. So
This was
there we
part of
go.
the plan.
yes, go ahead.
I don't know that this is a My question when I look at something like this, is this poor individual, suggesting that this is subsidized workforce housing, and if it's subsidized, who's paying the subsidy? I'm not.
I think he's suggesting the town give over the lots.
Have 5A help.
Well, there's a lot of money in there. There's like 3 million, I think, right?
No, there's 6 million.
6 million?
The Jake Port's on the line too. You have questions for him? He has his hand up.
Sure,
Can
go on.
can I ask a question as a new, so is the definition of work? 5A, like, at the same definition? How do we, define work? And you see that term a lot, but it means a lot of different things to different.
And I think it would mean something different to us too, whether it's restricted, whether it's AMI, or whether it's you have to work in town for so much, or or you have to work in the county for a certain number of hours. It can be any of those things.
But does the state have a definition? 5A, it sounds like there's 5A funds that designed for.
Right, I think.
Will these be for sale or for lease?
We haven't got there yet. The question that's in front of you today is whether or not you would entertain using town-owned land to create this. Then we'll have to figure out what the structure looks like. The biggest piece, just like 103 Main, is that they have town-owned land around these building footprints they need to be able to do.
Got it.
Developer.
This is like the golden chalice of what we've been asking
Right.
for, so why would we
I
not?
think,
And-
I think Mr. Ford, like,
Yeah, let's do an,
Jake, you have been promoted as a presenter. If you'd like to unmute yourself, you're able to speak to the council.
Is that working now?
Yeah.
there
We can hear you.
Okay. So the primary source of funding would be the Metro District. So as conceived. So that's why the marriage of the project that we've been conceiving down at the Best Western is such a driving force behind this workforce housing. We've got all of the modeling for financial costs are based on a modular construction of the residential units. It's a unit that we've had engineered before, are familiar with the costs, and so we've got a really tight budget around those things. We have a pretty good understanding of what it's going to take to build the concrete slabs and deck, and so we have a pretty comfortable relationship with this project as long as we have the Metro District funding that would be generated via the Best Western project that's been already in the PUDs. But that's why that PUD preceded this presentation. But we are, we are in a place now where we feel comfortable that, we have funding vehicles to get through completion.
Council. Thoughts are, it's sort of a thumbs up, thumbs down, because this isn't a vote we're taking tonight. If we're willing to move forward with this or not.
thumbs up.
I would support DURA providing the land. This is what we,
Sure, why not? Yeah, come on up. Bobby Craig.
I'm absolutely in favor of some type of redevelopment of this parcel. My concerns are scale. Just on the bill, how big it is, to give you. Footprint is 89,000. We built the sale loft buildings. Those are 11. This footprint alone, 8 times. This building is 570 feet. The condo hotel, the branded hotel, that I think was only about 4 feet. But put those two together, 1,000 feet, continuous building, only break being building drop. It's gonna be a wall. That's what I'm worried about. Is this the scale that we want to go into? Maybe a little. Concerned about the height. Seeing 54, 6 inches, 68 feet, 6 inches. 570 feet. I am worried this is going to dwarf. Trying to do everything to break it down. My opinion, monolithic, it's monumental, big, it's grand, but don't tell me if that's what we want here. Read oriented, shops, cafes. I think it's great we have a brochure. Nice solid tenants. They have a lot of spaces. You're not gonna liven the street. This is not bakery, not the coffee. The bike shop. Glad that they mentioned money source, metro. They're gonna build the parking structure along. That's the big chunk. Anyway, want to see something move ahead? Eager for that. This is the right. Maybe it should be several small.
And do we need 143 workforce housing units, or is a better number half of that?
I don't know. I'm all for housing. A little bit worried that like the Levante is going to be dead on us. Especially with the
Jake, is there a way to do it where it's less workforce housing units and maybe?
Come on. Let's just, we're talking about a project he's proposing with workforce housing. We can't whittle out the workforce housing. We need high density housing in the core to support all these businesses. And we need workforce housing. We don't need more free market housing. We just don't. We got plenty of it.
I guess the issue is the DURA question when we
The-
approve the land transfer.
It's not even that. We are asking if we are willing to keep talking about this or not.
Yep.
And we are.
Okay, so, and we don't know what it's gonna look like. So to keep talking about it, the answer is yes. Everyone here at this table is willing to keep talking about this.
I would say this is the first iteration,
no?
much like
You said no?
the Best Western. It's probably going to evolve as we. work
Talk
through
about it.
About the DURA part. I have a problem with this too, but this isn't the time to talk about it.
Well, I mean, it can be, yeah. I mean, if you don't like sort of
Well,
the
like if
idea.
Bobby's gonna talk about it. I always thought the paid billing, when it finally goes away, we're gonna have that parking lot continue towards the lake, which would open up like the plaza.
There was gonna be a plaza.
So right now, the pain bill is cutting, blocking everybody from the lake. I would love to do this part and have this part open. But if we're not talking about that, I'm willing to acknowledge that, yeah, let's use DURA, but I'm not saying
I
this is
think we
good.
can figure out the detail,
Yeah, I think
right? Yeah,
I
we
think
can-
we can figure out the details so it encompasses the town core plan that we already have to some degree, right?
Yeah, but I believe it. These two, yeah. And smaller is better, I think, in that location.
Yeah, I'm worried about the height, and I'm worried about being able to have at least 20 feet of concrete wall all the way along the walking path of Levante.
They'd be units. Those are all the houses, they're townhouses along Levante. Or condos that are, they're street level,
Right.
and then condos above, and then the parking lot, the parking garage is on the backside.
Even if it was like Frisco where they did the second floor, connected them to a walkthrough or something.
We don't know
Yeah,
the
okay,
design.
so a walkthrough. I think a walkthrough is the kind of thing that we can negotiate into this kind of thing.
But I don't know if Jay can see what I'm talking about, but I'm talking about the parking lot. I like to have that open instead of just a wall straight across.
Yeah, I can hear you, John. Uh, I think what, space planning that we need to kind of evolve with, with everybody's feedback is relating to the efficiency of the parking system. And, so we've kind of gone through, this has been a work in progress with the town staff's help for, more than a year, I'd say. And, we've been iterating it, but it's encompassing other concepts and ideas with adjoining properties that, because I understand that the county has some potential additional workforce housing units that they need for the school. So there's a lot of discussion that's been going on, but we wanted to get something in front of you guys to just comment and make sure that there was buy-in that, if we can come up with a plan that everybody appreciates that this investment is of time and energy is worth it to everybody. And it sounds like we've got enough of that endorsement for us to keep spending to try to figure out if there's a plan that will find a consensus. But I will say that the biggest challenge in the footprint is that we wanted to get enough surplus parking to really add a service to the existing amphitheater, because the parking continues to be a stress point. And so this is a very efficient layout, just kind of linear parking lines. And we did our best to kind of shield the chunkiness of the structure with the liner units of residential and the liner unit of the grocery store, so that the storefronts from the street side provide a nice facade.
So from Levante, when you're looking north at the parking garage and residence, is the residence on the bottom or on the top?
So all the way on the top of the structure, there's a line of units that step back from the garage, and then there's liner units along the streetscape that are right on the street level. And so the garage steps back from the street by virtue of the fact that there's liner townhomes on the streetscape.
Okay. Right, any other questions for the developer or any staff or? This is generally a thumbs up. We can work towards something that might work for the town here.
Yeah, I like
Yes,
that one.
Great. Okay, so I think that's all we have to do on this one here is give a,
Thanks, guys.
okay, next agenda item is adjournment. Those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Same sign. It's 9:53. This meeting of the Dillon Urban Renewal Authority is adjourned.